Tua Tagovailoa has likely played his very last snap in a Miami Dolphins uniform, and the financial explosion that's about to follow will change this franchise forever. We are officially entering the most dangerous offseason in Miami history, and the new regime of Jeff Hafley and John Eric Sullivan is walking into a $30 million salary cap nightmare. If you want to see the Dolphins survive this rebuild and come out the other side as a powerhouse, you need to hear exactly how this roster is about to be dismantled and rebuilt from the ground up. Before we dive into the deep end of this cap crisis, do me a huge favor. If you love the Dolphins, hit that like button, share this video with the Fins faithful, and subscribe so you never miss a single update during this wild 2026 offseason. We have to start with the cold, hard truth. The bill has finally come due. For years, we watched Chris Greer and Mike McDaniel push money into the future, trading away draft picks for superstars and signing massive extensions that felt great at the time, but have now left the cupboards bare. As we sit here in late January 2026, the Miami Dolphins are projected to be over $30 million in the red. That isn't just a tight situation, that is a code red emergency. And the man at the center of it all is Tua Tagovailoa. We've heard the rumors from Adam Schefter and every major insider in the league. The bridge has been burned. After being benched for the final 3 games of 2025, Tua himself has said a fresh start would be dope. But how do you actually move on from a quarterback who carries a $99 million dead cap hit? That is the question of the century for John Eric Sullivan. If I'm in his shoes, I'm looking at 2 very painful options. You could cut him before June 1st and just take the massive $99 million hit all at once. It would effectively punt the 2026 season into the trash, but it would leave you with over $130 million in cap space for 2027. It's the ultimate reset button. However, I think the more realistic path is the post-June 1st designation. By doing that, you spread the dead cap over 2 years, $67 million this year and $31 million the next. It's still a bitter pill to swallow, but it's the only way to actually field a professional football team this autumn. Question of the day: would you rather the Dolphins take the entire $99 million cap hit right now to be totally debt-free by 2027, or should they spread it out so they can actually afford to sign free agents this year? Let me know your strategy in the comments below. Once the Tua situation is handled, the rest of the roster is going to look like a construction site. We have to talk about Tyreek Hill. He is a legend, a first-ballot Hall of Famer, but his cap hit is astronomical. If we cut him after June 1st, we save $35 million. In a world where we are $30 million over the cap, that move is almost mandatory. The same goes for Bradley Chubb. He's a leader in that locker room, but a $31 million cap hit for a veteran pass rusher when you're rebuilding. It's just not sustainable. Moving him saves $20 million. We are talking about clearing $55 million in space just by moving on from 2 aging superstars. It hurts the heart, but it saves the franchise. And the cuts don't stop there. Austin Jackson has been a roller coaster at right tackle, and frankly, I think his time is up. Whether it's a trade or a straight release, Miami needs to find a more consistent anchor on the right side of that line. But while we're cutting the fat, we also have to identify who stays. I'm looking at guys like Aaron Brewer and Jordan Brooks as the foundation. These aren't just players, they are building blocks. By extending them now, we can actually lower their 2026 cap hits while ensuring that Jeff Hafley has the right culture setters in place for his new defense. Let's look at the free agent departures, because this list is long. I'm letting 10 guys walk. No questions asked. Zach Wilson is at the top of that list. We saw what happened when he had to step in, and it's just not the answer. Then you have the safeties, Ifeatu Melifonwu and Ashton Davis. They had their moments, but in a Hafley system that demands high-level communication and range, I think we can find better value elsewhere. Even guys like Darren Waller and Benito Jones, veterans who have contributed, don't fit the timeline of a 2026 rebuild. We need to be younger, faster, and cheaper. However, there are a few must-keeps on my list. We cannot enter next season with a secondary full of rookies. We need to retain either Jack Jones or Rasul Douglas. Personally, I'm banging the table for Rasul Douglas. He's a veteran who understands the nuances of the game, and he's likely to be more affordable on a short-term deal. Then there's Greg Dulcich. I've been high on this kid since he was in Denver, and I think he can be a top 10 tight end in this league if he's used correctly. He's exactly the kind of middle-of-the-field threat that a young quarterback, like a Quinn Ewers or a Malik Willis, needs to lean on. Speaking of the roster as it stands, let's look at the offense. If we move on from Tua and Tyreek, things look very different. Quinn Ewers is currently the only quarterback under contract who has actually started a game for us. He's a 7th-round pick who showed some flashes in those final 3 games of 2025, but is he the franchise? Probably not. But on a rookie contract making less than $2 million, he is a godsend for our cap situation. It allows us to keep the running back room intact with Devin Achane and Jalen Wright, who are arguably the most explosive duo in the AFC. But we have a massive hole at wide receiver too. Jalen Waddle is a superstar, but Malik Washington has shown us he's more of a gadget player and a returner than a true number 2 wideout. We need a physical, route-running technician to complement Waddle's speed. Now, let's flip over to the defense, because this is Jeff Hafley's bread and butter. If you watch what he did in Green Bay, you know he wants a physical, aggressive 4-3 front. But right now, his edge rushing group is a ghost town. Chop Robinson is talented, but he's been unreliable and hampered by injuries. Outside of him, there's nobody. We are looking at a defense that basically has no way to pressure the quarterback right now. The interior is solid with Zach Sealer and Kenneth Grant, but without an edge presence, those guys are going to be double-teamed into oblivion. This brings us to the Green Bay connection. John Eric Sullivan spent 22 years in the Packers organization. Jeff Hafley was their defensive mastermind. It is a statistical certainty that Miami is going to become Green Bay South this offseason. The biggest name on everyone's lips is Malik Willis. He spent the last 2 years marinating in that Packers system. He's got the arm, he's got the legs, and most importantly, he'll be cheap. If Miami can get him on a 1-year, $10 million deal, that is the definition of responsible aggression. He provides competition for Quinn Ewers and gives us a high upside option without breaking the bank. But it's not just Willis. Look at the defense. Kingsley Enagbare is a name you need to circle in red. He's played under Hafley, he knows the terminology, and he's an affordable rotation piece that could easily start for us given our lack of depth. Then there's Quay Walker at linebacker. Hafley has praised his leadership and his blitzing ability. If the Packers decide they can't pay him the $10 million a year he's looking for, Miami should be the first team on the phone. Pairing Walker with Jordan Brooks would give the Dolphins one of the most athletic linebacker duos in the league. We also have to look at the secondary. Jeff Hafley's system relies on safeties who can play center field and corners who can lock down in man coverage. That's why the safety position is such a concern. Minkah Fitzpatrick is a stud, but he's not getting any younger. Opposite of him, we're looking at Dante Trader Jr., a second-year guy who hasn't proven he can handle the starting role. I'd love to see Miami target someone like Alohi Gilman in free agency. He's physical, he's a ball hawk, and he fits the toughness identity that Sullivan talked about in his press conference. The road ahead is not going to be easy. We are going to see some of our favorite players wearing different jerseys next year. We are going to hear about dead cap more than we hear about touchdowns for a few months. But this is the medicine that the Miami Dolphins have to take. Sullivan said it best. They aren't going to sacrifice the infrastructure of the team for a quick fix. They want to build something that lasts, like they did in Green Bay. That means no more all-in trades for 30-year-old superstars. It means drafting well, signing smart, and managing the cap with discipline. We are looking at a 2026 season that is all about discovery. We're discovering if Quinn Ewers can be a bridge. We're discovering if Malik Willis has a second act in him. We're discovering if Chop Robinson can finally become the elite pass rusher he was drafted to be. It's a year of transition, but for the first time in a long time, it feels like there is a real, grown-up plan in place. No more fireworks, just football. The transition from the Mike McDaniel era to the Jeff Hafley era is going to be a culture shock. We're moving from speed and flash to resilience and toughness. It might not be as pretty on a highlight reel in September, but if Sullivan and Hafley get this right, it's going to be a lot more effective in January. We are clearing the decks, balancing the books, and finally building a foundation that won't crumble under the weight of one bad contract. It's time to get excited, Dolphins fans. Not because we're signing a superstar, but because we're finally building a real team. The rebuild is here, and while it's going to be a bumpy ride, the destination is exactly where we've wanted to be for 20 years.